You know, the natural world is just packed with animals that seem to defy belief. So today, we're going to dive into the science behind what I like to call nature's superpowers. These are abilities so incredible, they honestly feel like they've been ripped straight out of a comic book.
I mean, really think about it. What if an animal could perfectly imitate a venomous sea snake whenever it wanted, or had a jaw that literally catapults out of its own face? These aren't just wild what-ifs. These creatures are absolutely real, and their abilities are, believe it or not, even stranger than they sound.
So, let's start with the masters of disguise. For these animals, survival isn't about being the biggest or the baddest, it's all about the art of not being seen, or even better, tricking a predator into seeing something else entirely.
Okay, so here we see two totally brilliant approaches to the exact same problem. On the left, you've got the leafy sea dragon, which uses what's called static camouflage. All those gorgeous leaf-like bits, they're not for swimming. They exist purely for the illusion, to make it look exactly like a piece of floating seaweed. It's basically wearing a permanent costume. But the chameleon over on the right, that's a dynamic artist. It actively changes its color by fine-tuning special cells in its skin, basically manipulating light to blend in or even send signals.
Right. So if the chameleon is an artist, then the mimic octopus is a full-on Hollywood special effects wizard. It doesn't just change its color, it changes everything. Let's break this down. First up, chromatophores. Think of them as tiny sacs of pigment that can expand or shrink in a flash. Underneath that, you have iridophores, which add shimmering, reflective colors. But the papillae, that's the real game changer. These are muscular bumps that can alter the octopus's skin from totally smooth to rough and spiky. This is such a superior strategy because it's not just fooling your eyes, it's a complete full-body impersonation of anything from a lionfish to a flatfish.
All right, moving on from deception, let's talk about the ultimate survivors. These are the creatures that don't just hide from death, they pretty much laugh in its face. Their abilities make them some of the most resilient forms of life on this entire planet.
Everybody, meet the tardigrade, also known as the water bear. This little microscopic animal is, well, it's pretty much indestructible. You can boil it, you can freeze it to near absolute zero, you can hit it with insane doses of radiation, you can even toss it into the vacuum of space, and it just survives. The tardigrade is the ultimate proof that true toughness has absolutely nothing to do with size.
And then there's this other form of survival, regeneration. This quote just captures the pure magic of the axolotl perfectly. This little salamander from Mexico takes self-repair to a level that is just unbelievable. Lose a limb? No problem. It grows right back. Damage its heart or even parts of its brain? It just regenerates them. This incredible ability makes the axolotl a real-life superhero in the world of regenerative medicine.
Now, superpowers aren't just about physical toughness. The next group of animals we're looking at completely challenges our idea of what intelligence is, proving that really complex thought and communication have evolved in some truly surprising ways.
So, who actually has the ultimate bird brain? Honestly, it is a tough call. In one corner, you've got New Caledonian crows. These birds are absolute master tool makers. They'll carefully pick out specific plants and then craft them into hooked tools to fish for insects. They can even solve these really complex multi-step puzzles that require thinking way ahead. But in the other corner, you have African gray parrots. They're amazing abstract thinkers. They can understand concepts like color and shape, and one very famous parrot, Alex, even learned how to communicate those ideas with researchers.
But what if animal communication is way closer to our own than we ever thought possible? Well, researchers studying sperm whales have discovered that the acoustic patterns inside their calls are incredibly similar to the vowels, yes, vowels, that we use in human speech. This hints at a level of richness and complexity in their communication that we're really just scratching the surface of.
And that right there, that's the key. This quote captures it perfectly. It's not just random noise. The whales are intentionally making and distinguishing between these complex sounds. So we might not have a translation dictionary yet, but we know for sure we're looking at a communication system with way more structure than we ever gave them credit for.
So you might be wondering, how do all these amazing abilities even come to be? Well, it's not magic. Every single superpower we've looked at is a product of evolution. It's a highly specialized solution developed over millions and millions of years to solve a very specific problem, whether that's finding food, not becoming food, or talking to each other across vast oceans.
Which brings us to our final section, a rapid-fire look at some animals that are just wonderfully, beautifully weird. These are creatures whose evolutionary solutions just defy all expectations. First up is the goblin shark. I mean, just look at this thing. It's called a living fossil because its family tree goes back over 125 million years. But its most shocking feature, by far, is its bite. When prey gets close, its entire jaw structure launches forward like a slingshot to snatch it. It's an ambush tactic that's both kind of terrifying and absolutely brilliant.
Next, we've got the shoebill. This bird honestly looks like it walked right out of the age of dinosaurs. It hunts by standing perfectly still, like a statue, for hours on end. But it's the sound it makes that's truly startling. Forget chirping. The shoebill communicates by making this deep, rapid-fire clattering noise with its huge bill. It sounds less like a bird and more like a machine gun.
And finally, the red-lipped batfish. This fish is a complete paradox. It lives in the ocean, but it's a terrible swimmer. So instead, it uses its fins to just awkwardly walk along the seafloor. And for reasons that still kind of baffle scientists, it looks like it's wearing a perfect coat of bright red lipstick. It's just the perfect reminder that in nature, sometimes the weirdest solution is the one that actually works.
So, from indestructible water bears to lipstick-wearing fish, these animals really prove that the real world is so much stranger and more amazing than we could ever imagine. And that leaves us with one final, really exciting question. With so much of our world still unexplored, what other incredible superpowers are still out there, just waiting to be found?